HappiDaze here, and in today's video we're going to go ahead and dive into the After Party Kizuna banner, see if the units are worth pulling, and see how bad this next Kizuna might be. So let's go ahead and take a look at the star legend of this Kizuna, which is going to be S-Snake. So she is a powerhouse cerebral dex unit. She can have a max special turn of 13 if she's fully level limit breaked. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of her abilities, see what she can do. So in terms of her captain ability, she can reduce the specials of the crew by 1 turn at the start of request. You'd love to see that. Can boost Dex, Powerhouse, and Cerebral characters' HP by 1.3, attack by 5.25, but it can go up to 6 depending on how many perfects you hit. Good multiplier, can't really complain too much there. And then she'll give you a 2 times her own recovery for every perfect you hit at the end of the turn. So she's going to just help get a lot of the HP back. And the thing that makes her so special or so niche is the ability for her to remove the blindness debuff as well as the burn debuff as part of her captain ability. You don't see this very often in any characters that really come out. And even getting rid of this with supports is super hard to do. So the fact that she can just get rid of those 2 annoying debuffs with just her captain ability is fantastic. I'm not saying that you'll be using her a ton outside of this Kizuna. I think you'll probably see her end up more as a crewmate than as a captain. But at least having that captain action is pretty nice in case you need to get around that blindness or the burn. So let's go ahead and take a look at her special. So she removes any matching unfavorable slot effects that are placed on the crew. So the unfavorable part is good. The matching is just kind of so-so. It's kind of where they just didn't do unfavorable, but it's just a design decision that they decided to do. And very similar to the other versions of Boa that exist in the game, she uses the love status on enemies, which means that until you hit them a certain amount of attacks, they won't hit you. Makes it really easy and really good to stall, which is fantastic. Can't complain. Help get through stages or debuffs. It'll be interesting to see if they use her a lot on the co-op mode, because if you inflict the status and then just keep kind of switching back and forth for 1 or 2 turns, then you can get rid of probably a lot of the debuffs that are there. So it'll be interesting to see if she gets used there. She does end up getting 6 turns of counter healing, which is great. And then she applies the weakened status, which increases damage taken by 1.5 for all enemies. And you get a additional 1.25 if they already have that debuff on them. It doesn't go through immunity, so that's kind of the sad part about that, and you get that for 2 turns. She also reduces the damage by 80% until you get hit 1 time, so that will be great for death hits. You'll love to see that. And then she also boosts the chain multiplier by +2 for 2 turns. So that actually is really good. Like that'll help with a lot of play. Just getting +2 to the chain off the bat, it'll be used. That's actually a pretty good buff right there. And if you use the Franky that we'll talk about a little bit later, he can actually even, I believe, increase that by 1.5 or 1.25, something like that. Furthermore, if Luffy or Hancock is on the crew, you'll probably be using more of a Luffy just because of more Luffy variety units. And he launches a special in this turn. And it has to be, I'd assume, before you launch the special, just so otherwise I wouldn't know. Then basically it gives you the weakened status, or enemy has weakened status when the special is launched. It applies the increased damage taken to all enemies by 1.75, ignoring immunity, which is fantastic, for 2 turns. So she's going to hit a lot of damage if you're able to use her with Luffy on the team. Like I said, you probably won't have too many instances where you use a team that has both this unit and Hancock, but if you can get it to work, great. But I think a lot of the cases you'll see will be utilizing Luffy and her to be able to get that most damage out there. So overall, her special is pretty good. Like I said, it's you probably see her as a sub more than you will a captain. But yeah, so let's go ahead and see what her super type can do as well. So when any of the following characters in the crew, that's good that it's only 1 character, but unfortunately, it's only Luffy, Boa, or Sentomaru, or if the crew has matching or unfavorable slot effect status. So the fact that it only has 3 units is kind of disappointing. Like, it would have been nice if they would have at least added maybe like S-Hawk or the S-Jinbei on there. It would just kind of open it up a little bit more. But let's see what the super type can actually do. So it reduces the crew's attack down when above certain chain multiplier effect duration by 6 turns. So attack down 6 turns is fantastic. Can't really complain there. There's content that's starting to creep towards like 7+ turns, so that kind of scares me a little bit, but at least you have 1 unit that can give you 6 turns. If you throw support to get 1 more, it's probably not a big deal. But 6 turns is super respectable. Can't really complain about that. It boosts the crew's attack based on the damage reduction of effect applied on the crew. Okay, so this is kind of like that Legend Yamato that came out, right? I don't remember if it was a standalone Yamato versus the Kaido Yamato, but there was one where she had a special that would end up giving a certain damage reduction, and then the super type would then do additional damage based on that. So it seems like this unit is kind of built very similar in that style, where when you use her special, you get that 8% damage reduction, and then you'll basically be able to go ahead and get a free 1.8 times attack boost for 1 turn. So can't complain. That's pretty awesome. Like, I just really can't even complain about that. And on top of that, she heals the crew by 30k HP, up to 2 times HP, ignoring max HP limit. And changes Dex characters to Super Dex. So yeah, this is kind of like the new theme, right, of all the Anniversary Legends, at least the Anniversary Luffy. Super types just giving huge amount of HP heals. So the fact that you can now probably get like your HP, up to 200k plus, is kind of nuts. But it just gives you more options and more ways to survive and stall and do things like that. So really can't complain there. So Trish has a really good super type, and I like how it kind of works really well with her special to activate that. Just wish I had a little bit more units. I think that would have made it a little bit better. So let's go ahead and take a look at her sockets real quick, or her potential abilities. So she has Recovery Bind up to 10 turns if you have it maxed. It just is what it is. You don't really see that too much in content. Reduces recoverable HP amount down by 10 turns. Like I said, it's kind of niche. You don't really see that debuff really in content either. And she does have a final tap, where at level 5, it will give a 1500 characters base attack boost for 1 turn, and makes the character's normal attacks hit all enemies for 1 turn. So this will be really useful in stages where you have like a lock, right? And if you attack with her last, then the final damage will go not only to that unit who you're locked on, but also to whatever mobs might be around. So could be an interesting gimmick. I probably wouldn't focus on leveling this up, to be honest. But it's not terrible, but it's just not very useful. So let's go ahead and just take a quick look now at what she can do in Rumble, see if she'll be worth taking into any teams. So looking at her Rumble main ability there, she gives a HP up level 5, attack up level 5 to Dex teammates, and Free Spirit class enemies attack down 6, and also defense down 5. So the defense down portion is really nice, and this is kind of Bandai's way of killing the G5 Luffy team. Which is really just having all these Free Spirit debuffs. Now, you don't really see Dex go up against like Free Spirit very often. And in fact, it's actually kind of detrimental to use them, because they are so tanky that usually that it gives the Sai Luffy a chance to do a ton of damage with the units, and then he comes in with this burst and just what cleans you out. So kind of interesting that they're trying to have the Dex teams take on the Free Spirit teams. I don't see it happening, but who knows? We'll see. In terms of the special, so it is on a 32 turn cooldown, which is kind of high, but it targets enemies within a large range for attack down level 7 for 30 seconds, speed down level 7 for 30 seconds, attack 2.5 damage, and then again does a debuff to 2 Free Spirit enemies. Does confusion, which is nice because it's not just like special reverse. Like if their special is charged, it will go back to 0. So I do like that part of it, but yeah, it's going to be hard to have these Dex teams go against. If this was like more on like a 28 turn cooldown, I think it would have been a little bit better. Just because, like I said, once that Free Spirit team gets going, they can output a lot of damage really quick. So that kind of wraps up her kit. I don't think she has a GP leader ability, does she? Oh, she does. Wow, that's shocking. So basically gives team up attack level 3, HP, speed up. It's just you won't use this for a GP leader. And yeah, only does 1,000 damage. So you won't be using this unit as a GP leader. You'll be using her in probably a kind of a weird hybrid Dex team. I don't think you can combine her with, well, maybe you can. Maybe you can combine her with the Int Luffy to, have Force Out as well as this. We'll have to see how it kind of all plays out. But yeah, that is S-Snake. So let's go ahead and get into the next unit, which will be the Franky unit. For the Franky unit, we're going to go ahead and take a look. He is a Dex powerhouse fighter. So he does have a 13-turn special cooldown when fully level limit breaked. So let's go ahead and take a look at what he can actually do. Yeah, that's trash. 3.5 times attack just literally means that they don't want you to use him. So Yeah, you won't be using this guy too much as a captain, and he reduces damage taken by 20%. That's probably the best part of this whole captain ability here. But otherwise, yeah, this is an absolutely terrible captain ability. You won't be using him as a captain. Let's look at his special. So he can reduce the crew's special charge time by 1 turn, so cooldown's always good. Reduces barriers by 2 turns, so it's pretty rare that you have units that can reduce barriers by more than 1 turn. So obviously, if you can have them that do 2 turns, that's great. If you didn't pull the new units like the Shanks or those guys who can end up removing some enemy barriers, then this will be a good alternative to help you get through the content. If you pulled some of those newer units on the anniversary that have that ability to get through banner, you probably won't need this guy too much. And if you end up healing at least 30k before his special is launched, so for example, you could use the S-Hawk special first, or super type I should say, to get that 30k heal, and then use this right after, and you can swap out the unit for the captain, and you basically can do a chain multiplier there of 1.25 for 2 turns. Yeah, I mean it's tough to argue here. Any kind of multiplier is always good. Like I said, she'll automatically give you the plus S Snake will automatically give you the +2 to the chain, and then you can times that by the 1.25 to start. So yeah, I mean, ultimately that special is pretty good. I think the best part of this special is his ability to get rid of barriers. I think that's where you'll see the most use of his kit. But yeah, just getting a 1.25 boost for 2 turns for the chain multiplier is just nice. Let's see what his superclass can actually do. Like I said, I don't think you'll be using it as a captain, so you probably won't be using this as frequently. A lot more characters out there. You only need 2 of them, so it's pretty much the whole Straw Hat crew. And you can choose to remove the crew swap captain effect. So yeah, what they want you to do is use his special to make yourself the captain. Then you can go ahead and use the superclass to set yourself back as a crewmate. And he'll give basically a base attack boost of 800 for 3 turns. He adds 0.25 to the crew's multiplicative chain multiplier boost. So yeah, I think that will take you up to a 1.5, I believe, and extend the duration of the boost by 1 turn. So instead of doing a 2-turn boost, I believe it'll become a 3-turn boost there, and changes Powerhouse characters to Super Powerhouse. So yeah, he'll just give you a pretty big chain multiplier, and if you combine that with what you get from the S Snake in terms of the base chain, you'll be outputting a lot of damage. So ultimately, like, this unit's not bad. We'll see next that Brook, I think, is a little bit better in the long run, but like, you can't really complain about this unit in terms of what he can do. He does have a barrier for potential ability, as well as ship bind. So I hate this ship bind potential ability, especially how they put it on the Luffy for the anniversary. But it is what it is, and if you need to get rid of ship bind, he'll just kind of help do that. In terms of what he can do on his support effect, he can end up just healing and reducing barriers by 1. So that's actually interesting. So you can actually get, instead of 2 turns barrier removal, you can actually do 3 turns of an enemy barrier removal. So that's actually fantastic. That's a really good support effect. And as long as you put it on any of the units here, any of the Straw Hats units, you can get basically a free reduction of enemy barriers. Like, that's really good. Like, 1-turn enemy barrier reduction for a support unit is fantastic. And all you have to do is use a special. That's all. I mean, you are limited because it has to be a dex type of these units, but still, that's not too hard to kind of work around. So that will actually probably see a little bit of use. So that's going to go ahead and actually, let's see if he has any Rumble stats real quick. Okay, yep, no Rumble stats. So yeah, we don't have to worry about the Rumble stats at all. So let's go ahead, and next we're just going to take a quick look at the Brook unit and just see what this Brook unit can go ahead and do. So opening up Brook, he is a Free Spirit Cerebral character. He is Int type. He can have a 13 max cooldown if you have level limit break there, so that's not too bad, similar to the other 2 units that are there. Let's take a look at his captain ability real quick. Again, if you see it's 3.5 attack, then they don't expect you to use this guy as a captain. Yeah, so we can just completely ignore that captain ability there. It won't matter. You'll never use him. So looking at his special, he can delay all enemies by 2 turns. Unfortunately, it doesn't go through immunity. That's the downside there. But he makes crews Strength, Quick, Psi, and Recovery slots have matching slot effects for 3 turns. So Luffy does the Int in tandem, and now this guy can help with the Strength, Quick, Psi, and Recovery. like, if you had this guy with Luffy, you can pretty much cover just about all the bases for all the slots and always have them matching, which is awesome. And he'll do that for 3 turns, which is awesome. Like, you can't really complain. That's like a super long buff to have, and it'll just make content go. So you're gonna have probably a lot of unfavorable slots coming up in Kizuna, unfortunately, that we'll have to get through, but it is what it is. He then locks the crew's slots for 2 turns, and then changes block slots to character's own type. Like it, any special that can change block slots is always appreciated. And again, if you can heal 30k before your special goes off, you can switch him out for the captain. And he boosts the crew slot effects 2.5 for 2 turns. So obviously Luffy has the attack boost as part of his special. Now this guy can help you get the slot boost. If you use this guy first too, you can also increase that by 1.5 with Luffy's special. So yeah, it's just going to give you an awesome attack and ore boost and let you get through content. Not bad. And if you didn't heal the 30k, you still get a 2.25 for 1 turn. So you get a little bit less total attack there and 1 turn less. So yeah, overall it's a fantastic special. Like, this guy is definitely going to be used with that Luffy. So if any 2 are on the crew, and it's basically any of the Straw Hat crew that's on there, you can choose to remove the captain swap, similar to what we did for Franky. And he boosts damage dealt to delayed enemies by 1.75 for 3 turns. So like I said, the only down part of this is because his kit doesn't have a way to give the delay through immunity. There's no guarantee that you'll get this 1.75 for 3 turns. So that's the only kind of bad part there. And then he gives a 0.25 boost to the slot effects as well. So yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. And he also boosts it to 3 turns instead of 2 and changes int to super int. So yeah, I mean, like, it's fantastic. With this guy and Luffy, you'll be able to do an int and slot boost for 4 turns and 3 turns for respectively if you have a double Luffy captain. So fantastic. He'll see some play, and I like his kit so far. So let's go ahead and take a look at his potential abilities. So he does have the Fair, which is just kind of whatever. And then he also has pinch healing, which is just a little bit extra healing, right? But if you're using like S-Snake, for example, it won't really matter too much there. Let's take a look at his support effect here. So it has to be an int unit. So kind of, you can see the theme where for Franky's it had to be a dex type to match his, and now for Brook it has to be an int type to match his as well. Again, it's any of the Straw Hat units. And basically what we'll do is, if the character uses special while the captain, he makes the crew's recovery slots have matching slot effects for 2 turns. So sorry, yeah. So that's just like another buff to slots, right? Which is just kind of crazy. And then he locks the in-character slots for 1 turn and changes int character slots to recovery. So he makes recovery slots matching, and then he gives it to everyone who's int at least, right? Like, that's a fantastic special. That will definitely see use, especially with this new Luffy going forward. So like, I'm super excited to use this guy. I think he's probably outside of obviously the S-Snake there, I think he's probably the best support unit of the 3 that are on this banner. Let's just go ahead. I don't think he has any Rumble stats. Yeah, all right, he has no Rumble stats. Yeah, so that is the Brook unit. So let's go ahead and get into the final unit that we'll talk about today, which will be the Usopp unit that you see here. So going into here, like, he does have a 9-turn special, which is great, but this guy is literally pure trash. Like, do not pull for him. He is just not good. he is as mid as they come, unfortunately. So for his captain ability, he basically doubles the attack and boosts HP by 1.2. Completely useless. You'll never, ever, ever use this in content. And then for his special, he just gives a 1.5 attack boost and reduces bind by 1 turn. Again, completely useless. Like, I don't even know why they even included him, because he's so, like, bad. Well, it's unfortunate, especially because, like, he's a shooter unit and we don't have, like, a ton of really great shooter units. They could have really, like, took this opportunity to make something great with him, but they completely just phoned it in for him. The only interesting part is that he does have a support effect. I can go on basically any of the Straw Hat crews that doesn't require any specific type of those Straw Hat crew. And if they use a special to delay enemies, it changes the crew's slots to block, which you would think, like, why is that good? It's just a really weird support action, right? Like, I mean, maybe you want to have block slots or something. So that way you can have like a special that changes block to your matching, but it just kind of is weird to have a unit that gives you block slots on purpose and only gives you a 5% heal and then locks those slots. Now the chain multiplier for 2 turns is definitely nice, but as you were seeing, if you have like the Franky unit, like he does like so much more for the same amount of turns, and he doesn't have to give you block orbs. So it just makes no sense. Like I said, I hate this unit. I think he got shafted by Bandai on here, unfortunately. So whatever you do, do not pull for this guy. He will not be worth it. Of course, he doesn't have any Rumble stats, because why would he? And they made him a 1-cost unit. So like they know he's like a gimmick unit. So my advice here is just, you know, don't bother trying to pull on his part. You're better off pulling on the Franky and Brook part, going for whoever you want more out of those 2 units. So that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for us today. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I do have a pull video if you want to see how my pulls went. Spoiler alert, they did not go well. But that's part of the gotcha luck that you have there. So hopefully this video kind of walked you through what the units are. Hopefully you, when you pull, if you do decide to pull, you do get a snake, but like I said, I think if you have the Anniversary Legends or pulled a good amount of them, then she won't be really necessary. Like I said, I probably wouldn't recommend going over, you know, 300 to 500 gems max. And if you're able to get her in that, great. If you're not, then like I said, it's not the end of the world. Granted, you'll only be able to pull her on Kizuna banners going forward, which is kind of the downside there. But because she's kind of niche in what she can do, I don't think it'll be too detrimental for future content. Maybe you're going to have a little bit of trouble on one of the TM bosses on the next TM, because you usually like to do that. But I think overall it won't be too bad. So that's going to wrap it up for this video today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comment section below which rare recruit you like better. If you say Usopp, I am going to slap you. But let me know which of the support characters you like best, and if you pulled the S Snake as well. Until next time, be kind to each other. Thank you.